The last car engine fell silent on a Tuesday afternoon. No one remembers the exact moment. There was no one left to remember. But in that instant, when the final human breath left the planet, something extraordinary began. The hum that had filled the air for 2 centuries, the constant drone of machinery, traffic, and human activity, simply stopped. In its place came a sound so unfamiliar it would have terrified us. The wind, uninterrupted, moving through empty streets. Within hours, the lights began to fail. Within days, the silence grew deeper. Within weeks, the first cracks appeared. But it's what happened over the next 100 years that would transform Earth into something unrecognizable. A world where our greatest cities became forests, our monuments turned to dust, and nature wrote a new chapter in a story we thought we controlled. The power grids were the first to fail. Without human hands to monitor the systems, to balance the loads, to prevent the cascades, the electrical networks began shutting down within 48 hours. Fossil fuel plants, starved of maintenance, went dark. Nuclear facilities, designed with fail-safes, entered automatic shutdown sequences. By the end of the first week, the planet experienced its first true darkness in over a century. But darkness brought something unexpected. In cities that had glowed for generations, stars appeared. Millions of them, scattered across skies that humans had forgotten existed. The Milky Way stretched over Manhattan. The Southern Cross hung above São Paulo. For the first time in living memory, Earth's night sky returned to what our ancestors once knew. Water systems failed next. Pumps stopped pushing water through underground networks. Pressure dropped. Pipes, no longer maintained, began to freeze and burst in winter, to corrode and leak in summer. Within 3 months, the subways of New York, London, and Tokyo began to flood. The water, seeking its natural level, reclaimed the tunnels we had carved beneath the earth. Above ground, the transformation accelerated. Without constant trimming, grass in parks grew wild. Seeds, carried by wind and birds, found purchase in cracks in the pavement. Dandelions pushed through sidewalks. Vines crept up building facades. By month 6, Central Park's carefully manicured lawns had become meadows. By month 12, those meadows were becoming young forests. The buildings began to fail in ways we never anticipated. Glass windows, no longer cleaned, became coated in layers of dust and pollen. Some cracked from thermal stress, the constant expansion and contraction without climate control. Others shattered when trees, growing from rooftop gardens and window boxes, pushed their roots through the structures. Researchers who studied abandoned cities like Pripyat had predicted this, but the speed surprised even them. Studies suggest that modern buildings, designed for constant maintenance, deteriorate faster than ancient structures. The steel frames that held up our skyscrapers began to rust. Water infiltration, from broken pipes, collapsed roofs, and shattered windows, accelerated the decay. By year 10, the first skyscrapers began to lean. By year 20, some had collapsed entirely. But for every human structure that fell, nature built something new. Wolves returned to the streets of Detroit, following the deer that had claimed the suburbs. Coyotes hunted in the shadows of Los Angeles. In warmer climates, pythons and alligators moved into the drainage systems of Miami and New Orleans, creating new ecosystems in the flooded ruins. The air itself transformed. Without industrial emissions, without millions of cars burning fossil fuels, the atmosphere began to clear. It's believed that within 15 years, air quality in former megacities reached levels not seen since before the Industrial Revolution. The smog that had hung over Beijing, Delhi, and Los Angeles for decades simply dissipated, revealing horizons that had been hidden for generations. By the quarter-century mark, the transformation was complete in all but name. What had been cities were now something else entirely. Hybrid ecosystems where human ruins served as scaffolding for new forests. The Sears Tower in Chicago became a vertical cliff face, its windows gone, its floors home to nesting birds. The Eiffel Tower, stripped of its paint by decades of weather, rusted into a skeletal monument slowly being consumed by climbing vines. The most dramatic changes happened in coastal cities. Without pumps to hold back the sea, without levees maintained by human hands, the oceans began to reclaim what we had taken. Venice, built on wooden pilings that required constant replacement, sank beneath the Adriatic within 50 years. Miami, New Orleans, and Bangkok followed. The ruins of these cities became artificial reefs, attracting marine life in densities that rivaled natural coral formations. Inland, the forests grew dense. Trees that had been saplings in year one were now towering giants. In the Amazon, where we had cleared millions of acres, the jungle returned with a vengeance, swallowing the roads and farms we had carved from it. In North America, the eastern forests that had been pushed back for centuries expanded westward, meeting the grasslands in a new equilibrium. By year 100, the planet's biomass had increased by an estimated 30%. Carbon dioxide levels, which had climbed steadily for 2 centuries, began to fall. The climate, though still bearing the scars of our industrial age, started to stabilize. Earth was healing, but it was healing into something different. Not a return to what was, but an evolution into what comes next. A century after the last human voice fell silent, Earth tells a story we never wanted to hear. We were never permanent. The cities we built to last forever crumbled in decades. The systems we thought were essential stopped, and the world continued. The monuments we erected to our own greatness became nurseries for forests. But perhaps the most humbling revelation is this: nature didn't need us to disappear to thrive. It simply needed us to stop. Every tree that pushed through our pavement, every wolf that returned to our streets, every breath of clean air that filled our empty cities was a reminder that life's resilience doesn't depend on human presence. It depends on human absence. We built a world we thought would outlast us. Instead, we built a world that couldn't wait to forget us. And in that forgetting, in that great rewilding, Earth found something we had taken from it a long time ago: the last silence after us. If this vision moved you, subscribe to witness more stories of nature's return. Hit the like button if this made you think differently about our world. And tell us in the comments, which place would you want to see reclaimed by nature? New documentaries exploring the silence every week.